When a player signs for a new club, in a new league, in a new country, it takes time for them to settle in and adapt to their new environment. Unless their name is Mazraoui, then they just hit the ground running, they perform week after week, just like we saw against Southampton. So let's take a look. So we'll start off with the tactical. The first thing that is very obvious when you watch Mazraoui play is that he is very comfortable performing the role that Ten Hag is asking of him. Now, if you were to look at the average positions from the weekend, you would be forgiven for assuming that Mazraoui is playing simply as a traditional fullback, based on the average positions. But that simply isn't the case, and the average position almost isn't accurate. The reason for that is because if you take a touch here, 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 and here, your average position is actually going to be in the middle of that. So Mazraoui may look like on paper he's playing as a proper fullback, but that's not the case. He is playing multiple different roles for this United team. One of the roles that he is playing is when he tucks into the back three. Very early example of this from the weekend, we can see it here. He is tucked into the right side of that back three, and the real positive of this is that it allows you to pull opposition players out of position. So as he receives the ball in this position, the left winger feels that he needs to go start stealing ground here, trying to get towards him. Now the first thing that this does is it opens up space in behind. So if Mazraoui can manipulate the ball, move the ball inside perhaps, and then work the ball wide, United are in a good position, and Mazraoui is doing this very well. Of course, there are also situations where he is playing as more of a traditional fullback, where he's playing a little bit wider, hugging the touchline, and working the ball down the line. And then the other role that Mazraoui is being asked to perform in his own half quite a lot of the time is inverting into midfield. Now we saw this particularly regularly against Southampton at the weekend. Mazraoui popping up in these more central positions in a shape like this. Now again, what's the benefit of this? Well, you're going to manipulate the opposition, you're going to move these players. This left winger, rather than being dragged high, is now dragged central. So you are creating easy access into the feet of Ahmad on the right wing. And again, we saw this at the weekend against Southampton. Mazraoui into these sorts of positions. His technical quality we'll come on to in a second, but he's so good at moving with the ball at his feet. He moves infield, and of course the whole time, the Southampton player has to follow him, and that creates room out wide for Manchester United. So this is something that tactically Mazraoui is doing really well, and this is the benefit of signing a former Ten Hag player. You see, Ten Hag's tactical role with his fullbacks is quite complex at times. Not many players can do what Mazraoui is doing, tucking into a back three, inverting into midfield, playing wide, supporting the attack, which we'll look at shortly. Mazraoui is doing all of it, and he's doing it incredibly well. Now, one of the reasons why Mazraoui has been able to adapt and adjust so quickly to this sort of new role is because technically he is simply a phenomenal footballer. I made a claim the other day that if he had been playing in the Premier League for the past 5 seasons, he would be regarded as top 3 in the world on the ball for fullbacks. I genuinely think he's that good. His technical quality is off the charts, it is unbelievable. And what I love about him is his ability to use both feet, dribbling with his right foot and his left foot, taking touches with both feet. This makes it a lot more difficult for the opposition to read what way he's going to go on the ball. When you've got a right-footed player, you know where they want to go. When you've got a left-footed player, you know where they want to go. When you've got a two-footed player who can pivot around the ball like this, it's much more difficult to predict, particularly when you also know that they're happy infield or out wide, as we've seen already. So this is something that Mazraoui is bringing. He also, quite simply, has a phenomenal first touch, and in tight spaces is unbelievably good under pressure. So you can put him into these situations where, we've spoken about it a lot, it looks like a small rondo. Let's take this 4v4 in the middle of the pitch here. For some players this might be a problem. For Mazraoui it's not, because he is so comfortable on the ball and so calm under pressure. He thrives in these situations. It's why it works when he inverts in midfield, because he can play these passes off. If you compare this to Aaron Wan-Bissaka in the past, he just couldn't do it in the same way. Something else I love about Mazraoui though is also just the confidence he has in his own ability to beat players. It would be easy to come to Old Trafford and do things a little bit safe for the first few weeks of your career, but Mazraoui has no interest in doing that. He receives the ball wide on the right hand side. This is nothing particularly, immense, there's nothing special about it, but it's subtle details that really help him. First of all, you can see Mazraoui is basically just standing there. In terms of his body language, he has slowed the game right down. Now the Southampton player takes that as the trigger to go after him. Brereton Diaz is going to apply the pressure. What Mazraoui does is he waits until Brereton Diaz is really close to him, and then Mazraoui is just going to have a quick change of pace as Diaz gets closer, and it allows Mazraoui to go past him and wins the free kick in the end. Again, it's really subtle, but it's just that confidence he has in his own ability, and I think in tight spaces it makes for something really special for United. Something else we have also seen from Mazraoui though is something perhaps at times a little bit more direct. a side of the game that I didn't really talk about prior to his signing, because I didn't think it would be, not really, a massive part of his Manchester United catalogue, if you like, what we were going to see from him. But we've seen it a couple of times. In that Southampton game, we saw him putting a couple of balls into the channel, giving it for someone like Ahmad, or perhaps the striker Xerxes, or one of the midfielders to run onto. Putting a ball into a dangerous area is never a bad idea, but also deliveries into the final third as well. Here's an example of that sort of channel ball that I was talking about. Mazraoui in a deep right back position, you can see Manchester United have just been defending. It would be easy to play it simple here into our midfielder, in the middle of the park over here, or he could actually carry the ball forward himself and slow the game down a little bit. What Mazraoui does is he decides to play direct. He lumps the ball forward, and it's a perfect pass. It gets Ahmad into a brilliant position, and it takes United from a position in their own penalty area to quickly now transitioning and looking to get at the opposition. And what I would like to say is, I don't mean to disrespect a former player, but can you imagine Wan-Bissaka trying to do this? No, because basically he never tried it. He never tried to play direct because he didn't really believe in his passing capabilities. Mazraoui quite clearly does. Picking the ball up in these areas, again, the technical quality, the empathy, the way he plays this pass, it's just an absolute dream to receive in the penalty area. The ball is perfect, it's timed to perfection, the weight is not bad either, and Dalot picks it up on the penalty spot. Again, can you imagine Wan-Bissaka trying to play that pass? I just don't really think it works. I think that will perhaps be what has surprised people the most, and certainly pleased people the most. I told you all he was going to be technical, we knew that. But it's the impact going forward which has been really special. Not just that final ball with a quality delivery into the box, but the runs off the ball. And very quickly, an understanding with Ahmad ahead of him. Now we know that Manchester United put a big emphasis on wide play. 1 versus 1 play up against the fullback, but also 2 versus 2 play, 2 versus 1. We like to create these situations out wide. Very quickly, these two have got a brilliant understanding of what they are doing. When Ahmad's got the ball wide, particularly receiving from the left as we move across the pitch, if Ahmad gets the ball, Mazraoui is going to make that underlapping run very early. However, if it is Mazraoui that receives the first pass, typically Ahmad's actually going to come inside a little bit more, and now Mazraoui can go around the outside. And I love the way that they change their movement depending on what the other one's doing. They've got a really good understanding incredibly early on in their kind of partnership, but the two of them down the right side have been a real problem for not just Southampton but every team. Ahmad on the ball here, you can see Mazraoui is so keen to get forward and support the attack. This is an attacking fullback, he wants to be on the ball, and on this occasion he is going to absolutely fly around on the overlap. And this causes a real problem for Kyle Walker-Peters because he's 1v2. No player wants to be in this situation. And you can see eventually the space that Mazraoui has for himself in the penalty area. But the next situation is a little bit different. If we look at this one, Mazraoui actually receives the first pass as opposed to Ahmad. Mazraoui is inside the pitch. He's almost in a kind of midfield position, if you like. But he's picked the ball up after the switch from the left-hand side. And what he's going to do is initially play it quite simple. He's going to give the ball to Ahmad. I don't mind this at all. You've got the ball in space, you've got an attacker in space, give it to your attacker because they love to take the ball. So I like this from Mazraoui. He feeds the ball to Ahmad. What happens next is Mazraoui initially makes the underlapping run. You can see the direction of the run here from Mazraoui. He wants to get on the underlap. However, he changes his run when he sees this. He sees Ahmad take a small touch with the outside of his left foot. Now this is the signal from Ahmad that he's going to move inside, that Ahmad is going to cut inside with the ball onto a stronger left foot. He's going to drop the shoulder, change direction, move inside. And Mazraoui very early on is recognising that cue, recognising that switch in movement, and therefore adapting how he is going to play. Now, once again, flying around on the overlap, and again you can see the room that you are left with in the final third. On this occasion it breaks down to nothing, but you can see the impact that Mazraoui is bringing to this side. And the exciting thing for you guys is that he's only just getting started. I genuinely believe that. You haven't even seen close to his best yet. I would say he's performing at around 70%. He's just going to keep getting better, and he is exactly what Manchester United have cried out for so long. Technical reliability on the ball. In deep phases, he can play multiple roles, he can move into different areas, but wherever he plays, he is secure on the ball. He's got a good first touch, and he wants the ball under pressure. And in a team that can get quite chaotic at times, as we've all seen, he's the calm. He's the player who has that ability to get the ball down and keep the ball for his team. It might be a short carry over 3 yards. It might be a simple touch which completely stops the game. or just reliable passing. Mazraoui is bringing technical security, and it brings a calm to this team. And suddenly down the right hand side, previously a problem position for United, suddenly we have real reliability with these two. And I tell you what, it's a partnership that I am excited to watch, moving forward. The big thing for Mazraoui is now you've just got to stay fit, mate. A bit of a slight injury scare against Southampton, but he appears to be fine. Let's hope he can stay fit, and these two could blossom into something quite nicely. And I just had to do this video because I think Mazraoui has really hit the ground running. A lot of players don't, so it deserved credit, in my opinion. Let me know your opinion in the comments down below. You might disagree. You might agree. What would you like to see more of from Mazraoui? Let me know what you think. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.